Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the
No,
controversially non-controversial
no,
podcast. We are
we're not
currently in a
ready.
holding pattern, as it looks like it may rain on the broadcast. We will be in this holding pattern, and we may run the track in or the podcast in as we wait for the fourth member of our crew, one Johan Bracale.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Track Packers podcast. We are back for episode 5 of season 2. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Hopefully, you're not buried in snow while you're watching this, but we have everyone here, thankfully, not buried in snow. We have myself, Mason, along with John, Becca, and Jessup for the full field for today's episode. If you notice that Becca's down in the bottom row, is because she was late to staging and didn't get her preferred positioning. But that's okay. We're all here. We are presented by Hitch Harness and Tyler Hall. We want to thank him for sponsoring the podcast for this year. Again, Hitch Harness is a product developed by Tyler and Clear Arc Industries, basically as a safety and convenience item for the back of your truck, for convenient storage, and also safety while you're traveling. And like I said, convenience in and out of the vehicle. And so very cool product that Tyler has developed. There's a whole bunch of styles and sizes. If you go onto the website, hitchharness.com, check all those out. If you're a racer and looking to upgrade your shop in some way, they have some chassis dollies up there, so it can help with washing the car or some setup. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. They're continually adding stuff to that site, hitchharness.com. Thanks again, Tyler Hall, for your support of the podcast. And how is everyone here doing? Mr. John Breckel, how are you doing so far?
I am doing great. I do want to make a public service announcement, though. If everyone is tired of the snow, to where I think all of us are getting definitely to that point, or maybe even past that point, these blizzards that we've been having here in the central part of the state, if you really want to thank somebody, you can send your thank you letters to Mason Aaron Racing Videos on YouTube or on Facebook, and even his address. If you message us, we'll give you his address. You can send all of your thank you letters to him for the added moisture here during the winter season.
Mason, are you moving John to the back of the pack now?
He's already there, so don't have to move him far. Becca, how are you doing?
Exactly.
I'm good. We're another week closer to racing season. If things warm up and this snow melts away, we potentially could be racing in 6 weeks, as Dacotah Speedway is the first racetrack slated to race in the 2023 racing season on April 21st, which, if anyone follows Dacotah Speedway on social media, they've had quite a few announcements in the last week and a week and a half or so. And one of those announcements being that they're going to kick off the 2023 racing season with a double header. So hopefully this snow, it melts, the weather warms up, and we can go racing potentially in 6 weeks.
That's a hope. Yeah, been getting antsy sitting here the last few weeks. And Mr. Jessup Pelkey, how are you doing?
I'm doing. It's a good day.
Very good. Glad to hear it. While you folks are watching and or listening, be sure, if you're not subscribed already, subscribe to our podcast. We're on Spotify and Apple. If you're watching on Facebook and our YouTube, be sure to give us a like. Feel free to comment to let us know you're watching. We greatly appreciate it. If you want some additional content, you can head over to the Mason Aaron Racing Videos page on Patreon for our controversially non-controversial podcast, where we discuss a variety of interesting topics in the realm of dirt track racing and kind of into NASCAR with the last couple ones. But we like to have some fun on those.
Mason, they all are controversially non-controversial.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun because they're not controversial at all, as it says right in the title. Or at least we don't believe they're controversial. And one last thing, listeners, if you get the chance, leave a 5-star review. We would definitely appreciate it. Don't just leave just a 5-star. Leave some sort of message with it. Where we think Becca should start every week, where Mason should start every week. Should John wear a hat? I don't know. You just let us know what you like or dislike about our show and leave us a 5-star review. And if you're gonna not leave us a 5-star review, you know what? Don't even leave a review. Just like take it as you saw it or listened to it and you walked away. No need to leave any review after that. Only 5 stars. I want 5.
Someone did leave a 5-star review on our podcast.
And did they say anything?
No.
Exactly. How are we supposed to know who they are? Leave some sort of message so we can at least acknowledge your existence.
He's got a fair point. Yes, we share as much feedback as you want. We always are looking to improve. If you have a specific topic you want us to talk about, be sure to comment that, including our favorite segment as we wave the green flag on the podcast. Who or what are you repping? Feel free to comment on our gear for the episode. Let's start with Miss Becca. Who or what are you repping for episode 5?
So we got back from warm and sunny, or mostly warm, but fairly sunny Florida a few weeks ago. So got some fresh new gear from Florida, and I am repping what, John? What?
Well, let's be honest on this. It was sunny
It
all
was.
day. All day until race cars hit the track and there was a Mason sighting in the grandstands.
This is true.
And then
It did rain.
It started raining
Yes.
and it never quit raining.
And he not only rained out one race, he rained out 2 in one night. That is a new record for Mason. So
Is it though?
It not really isn't.
No,
No,
it
no.
really isn't.
I don't think
No.
it is, Becca.
oh,
It
He
might
almost
tie
did
his
it.
record.
This year, multiple times.
okay. So Florida was mostly sunny and fairly warm, depending on the day. But I did pick up some new gear while down there. And tonight I am repping a Daytona hoodie because it's not quite warm enough here in North Dakota with all the snow we got here. But I am wearing this nice and warm Daytona Speedway hoodie and got a little Homestead Speedway can koozie. So
Fancy.
I'm
Very
copying
nice.
Mason tonight. I felt inspired.
Yep. Yeah, I can go next. Just a transition outfit. I'm also wearing a Daytona hoodie. As you notice, it's a unique color, kind of a mix of like sea green and a little turquoise, I guess, but it's a random color. I love random colors, and so this stood out to me, and it was very hard to leave this in the shop. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna buy it and take it for myself. So, and I also have my Homestead Miami Speedway koozie. This is one of the vendor booths outside of the Daytona International Speedway, and they were giving away this for signing up to win free tickets. And so, yeah, kind of thinking of nice, warmer weather and hopefully sunny days ahead. Jessup, who or what are you repping?
Well, Mason, since we just got done recording a controversial and non-controversial podcast about modifieds, and more modifieds, I felt that my theme tonight should represent the theme of the CNC podcast, and that is modifieds. I am rocking my Andy cap. Isn't that fun? Play on words. I'm dumb. And then I'm representing a 25th anniversary Dacotah Classic Modified Tour shirt as well that has all the winners of the first 25 years on the back. And did you know that the very first year there was no actual points champion declared?
I did not know that.
Well, now you know.
Interesting. Don't know what that was. I guess it just kind of getting it started and getting the
Yeah.
buzz about it.
Probably there wasn't a focus on points, but just so people know, another year Dacotah Classic Modified Tour is out there. Get your tickets now. It's going to be standing room only at all the events.
There we go. Nice plug for it. Yeah, I mean, they are some of the most popular events in the state of North Dakota, especially. I think they do draw in some of the biggest crowds you'll see throughout the summer here.
Yep.
I have a question.
Go ahead, John.
Justin, where are they supposed to go to purchase their tickets now?
Well, you can go on My Race Pass.
Dacotah Speedway has their tickets for purchase on My Race Pass for the Dakota Classic Modified Tour.
Alrighty.
That's very interesting.
Jamestown doesn't put tickets for sale on My Race Pass.
Don't think a whole lot of the other tracks do either.
Are we sure about that?
So
Well, why
I think
not?
Dakotah
don't
Speedway might be
recall.
the only one.
Are we the only
So-
one? Hold
I
on.
think
Let's look
so.
that up. Hold on. No,
So-
no, we're gonna argue this.
So moving on from Jessup.
I say, while Jessup's looking that
We're-
up, John, who or what are you repping?
So we were just at the Jamestown Speedway Banquet a couple weekends ago. Mason was also at the Sheyenne Speedway Banquet last weekend. And I picked up some new Stampede gear from over at the banquet. So I am wearing the 51st annual one of the designs for the Stock Car Stampede shirt. So this shirt will definitely be one that I like to bowl actually in the racing shirts as well. So this will definitely be a league night bowling shirt for me because they're just super comfortable.
I was going to say, because I saw John Bull at a tournament here over in the Fargo-Moorhead area. And I'm curious, John, would you ever wear like a racing themed bowling shirt for a tournament?
I would definitely wear a racing themed bowling jersey and full outfit for sure for a tournament.
I'll say, should get one in the works because I think what you have like 50, 60 of those jersey shirt things.
Oh no, I've got more than that. I got like 80.
Oh, okay.
I'm becoming my mother. I'm becoming a hoarder for jerseys, which I ordered a couple more here just a couple weeks ago again. So, but yeah, even like we could even do like checker flag pants or something like that too. That would be kind of cool.
I'll say you should see some of his outfits. They're they stand out.
John, do you have an outfit that actually looks nice?
They look
have
cool.
way more outfits that look nice. And
I
what's
saw
funny is that I usually,
shoot.
people recognize me usually at the bowling alley per se. I'm pretty well, how do I want to put this? I'm not well known, but I talk to
Do
a
they
lot
see
of
the
people
bald
to
head and
where,
they're like, that's Breckle?
to where people typically probably maybe know me more from a bowling alley, but also now from a racetrack perspective than maybe even Becca.
That's a fair point. Fair point.
I mean, he is the high riser, Mason.
I mean,
Everyone
let's be
knows
honest on
him.
this.
He also has no
Mason-
hair, so they probably see a bald head and they're like, that's gotta be Breckle.
Mason,
Becca,
and
be
also
nice.
it's one of my distinguishing features, which bring out my personality. The other thing too, which is something that I have more than Becca. The other situation on here as well is that Mason, I believe like even the two of us, when we go to racetracks, not just across the state of maybe North Dakota, but maybe even when we travel to different areas, I think people know us as well, especially you. But I always run into people that I know from a racetrack perspective to where I don't think Becca can say that.
Well, hopefully this podcast is helping with getting Becca's name out there and Jessup's, so that way they recognize like, hey, you guys are on that awesome podcast. So that's the
This
goal.
is very true.
Remember, like the video and give us a 5-star review with some sort of comment.
Yes.
Cool.
And if we need to banish Becca, we will.
Yes, she will be stranded on an island by herself.
I mean,
I've
I
already
got better
seen
things to
one
do on a Friday
comment
night than
on-
this.
I've already seen one comment in
Yeah.
the past on removing Becca, and sorry, that's not an option.
What would you be doing?
Oh, that's
Becca?
right, Becca. You have received the one comment about being removed from our podcast.
I
You know,
also
it's-
laughed at the comment, and the guy never said anything about it either. And whatever. So.
Whoa, it's a guy.
It was a guy.
Ooh.
Oh,
Is it somebody you dumped in your past?
I didn't know him. I didn't recognize the name. So
Oh my goodness. She's had so many boyfriends
my feelings
before
aren't
Jessup that
hurt
she can't even
either.
remember names.
So
Well, anyways, before this gets off the tracks,
Are
I
we
think it's
already
already there.
Are we? Have we ever been on the tracks?
Have we
No,
ever
we-
been truly on the track?
no, we never are. That's a good point. Yeah. So getting back on track here, we do have a track packer report of sorts because we were at a couple of banquets over the last couple weekends, combined the four of us, but all of us were at the Jamestown Speedway banquet celebrating the 2022 season. Any of you four have a cool takeaway or anything? Any rumors that you heard maybe at the Jamestown Speedway banquet?
It was really good to see
rumors.
a completely full room. They did the Jamestown Speedway crew did a really nice job marketing and advertising for their local drivers to come. They celebrated the top 10 drivers in each racing division. They each got a trophy. Not all tracks do that. So that was really cool. And yeah, they just do a really nice job of giving an update for the upcoming season, the things that they're working on at the facility, and their big plans for this upcoming racing season. They kind of hinted at some stuff, so it looks like they got some big plans in the works, and I look forward to seeing their official schedule. I know they have their schedule with the dates and whatnot, but not a whole lot in regards to like maybe big touring series coming through or whatnot like that. So it was good to see it, just a full room, and to see good familiar faces again.
And the couple of things I had from a takeaway. So it was kind of cool. We went live there for a little bit too from a Track Packers report. So that was kind of neat. We had a lot of people, stop in from racers or fans or other stuff from there. So that was kind of cool to see. But I have like 3 takeaways, I think, from there. First of all, really good job to several of us here on the podcast, because Mason, you did a really good job with the video, the highlight video. That was really cool to see. You caught kind of all of us in our element as well when we were helping out in various ways, which was awesome over at the track from a highlight. Also, in that same realm, thank you to both the Pelkeys for their help with the banquet and going through. Becca was on the mic for a majority of it for their awards, so did a really nice job. Put together a really nice PowerPoint over there to highlight the drivers with everything. The second point that I have that I think they did a really nice job on was they did something unique for the rookies. They actually gave out a kind of like it's almost like a North Dakota plaque with a rookie picture on it. That was kind of cool for each rookie in the division, and then gave out Rookie of the Year. So that part was kind of neat to see. And then the other thing that they did, which I thought was kind of neat too, was they had every single volunteer get something from the track this year too. So they kind of announced off each volunteer in their role at the Speedway, and then gave them a Jamestown Speedway mug that had the actual like track logo and actually on it from the Jamestown Speedway, from like a thank you. So that was kind of cool to see as well. So yeah, so I think they did really good. But like Becca said, sounds like they have some stuff in the works for this year that might be coming out here in the next couple of weeks for maybe a few specials or a few surprises upcoming. So that'll be kind of neat to see too. I know their social media page is updated with everything for what you need to do to purchase your license if you have not purchased your license yet, because obviously racing season is coming up here sooner, hopefully, rather than later. And then driver registration too on MRP.
Yeah, all good takeaways. Jessup, did you have a takeaway or two before I go?
Yeah, there's a lot of things to take away from that. Mason had a very nice video, season recap video. He did a good job there. Becca did a wonderful job doing the majority of the talking. John was an excellent Vanna White, handing out the trophies and pointing people off the stage. What else was there's a lot of good things that took place there. I mean, John mentioned the volunteers getting appreciated and acknowledged. Another great thing, they had a band that seemed to be good, a pretty good hit, so that was good. Music was good, music was loud, so yeah, like that. Buffet style food, serve yourself, was fun. I love those styles of food rather than having a person hand you a chicken cutlet and a piece of potato and a scoop of green beans. I don't here. No, that's not ideal. And it's like, here is a teaspoon of gravy to go with your chicken cutlet, and you are done. You should be full. No, it wasn't like that. It was a serve yourself, and that was really cool. And all in all, good little banquet.
They also had a left, right, center, which is a dice game that you can
Yep.
play to potentially win money, which I thought was a great way to get people to stick around. Might be stealing that idea for future banquets, but I liked that idea. That was a great way just to get people to stick around and socialize and hang out afterwards.
Nice. Yeah, I think like you all pretty much wrapped up the banquet. I mean, it was quick too. I mean, we were done with awards probably like we had dinner like from like 6 to 7, and then I think the awards were like an hour, maybe.
Yeah, about an hour.
We let the trophies do the talking, just how Becca likes it.
I gave every driver, the top 10 drivers in each racing division, a chance to thank sponsors, their pit crews, their families. Only 6 people took advantage of it, so
Yep,
all the champions.
All the champions did, and they got to remember that you have to always thank the people.
You got to thank the people. Yes.
Yes.
Gosh, such a great line.
Yep, that was the running joke of the night from a table next to us. They were common denominator. If you go up there and you're going to say something, remember to thank the people.
There you go. Yeah, I heard a couple of rumors talking with a couple of the drivers, specifically like John Nord and the Dukeshires. Sounds like John Nord's getting an updated car going into this year, sticking with Rage chassis, and sold his old car to Matt Dukeshire, I believe, who's going to be moving into an IMCA mod. So
that'll be good.
Yeah.
Yep.
So both Todd and Matt, it looks like they'll be racing in the same class together. So that'll be cool to see.
That will be fun.
Yeah. So just a couple of the things I heard.
Yeah, and some of the rumors too. I believe. So let's see here real quick. Gavin Ettinger, I believe, is going to a Legend, if I'm not mistaken, for this year. I think that move is happening. The other one too that I saw was there's a couple of newer hobby stock drivers, or I should say bomber drivers, coming up this year, moving into some roles, and potentially a couple of new Midwest mod drivers. So that'll be kind of interesting to see as well.
There you go. Filling out the field. That's awesome. Good to hear. Good to hear. Yeah. And like you said, it was a full banquet. So great to see a good amount of people there and good to reconnect with a lot of the folks there. I'll touch on the Sheyenne banquet. I was the only one that went down there. That took place the week after Jamestown. Similar setup. All the top 10 in each class got trophies and really good banquet food. I had presented by Pizza Ranch and Sheyenne Barbecue. So some good ribs and some good chicken and man, a lot of food. Definitely got your money's worth on food just alone right there. They also do kind of a cool thing. They recognize the volunteers there. So every volunteer got recognized at the banquet. They do some special awards for like pit crews. So they highlight like a pit crew in each class, not necessarily like the champion, but kind of just recognizing the whole team aspect within the each class. And so those awards were cool to see. I think the volunteers got tumblers as well. So I got an extra tumbler. That's awesome. Previous years we've gotten like sweatshirts and jackets. So kind of just building upon our little collection that we have for volunteers down there. They do a cornhole tournament, which did not win, unfortunately. Still have yet to win that prestigious cornhole tournament, but one of these years. And there's also another quick banquet. I think we're done pretty much by like 9 o'clock, 9:30, and kind of got everything cleaned up and out of there by 10:30. So all in all, very, very good banquet. Didn't have a live band this year. I think we were kind of concerned about the weather with the blizzard that was happening on the western side of the state, and with some people traveling, wanted to kind of get in and out of there as quick as possible. But yeah, another full banquet, a lot of people there. Good to reconnect there. Trying to think of some of the rumors I heard. I know Regan Ranke, son of Zach Ranke, he is going to be jumping into a Legend this year. So that'll be good to see another young fellow move up from the go-karts, which we're actually going to be talking a little bit about go-karts here coming up soon. Outside of that, I think that's all from the Sheyenne Speedway front for the banquet, and they'll get started in the next couple months, hopefully as well.
Yeah, it was funny. I saw Mason on Saturday because I was over in Fargo bowling a tournament on Saturday. And it was interesting because Mason, I think you almost got back to Fargo the time I was done bowling on Saturday.
Yeah. That's interesting, right?
So yeah, so unfortunately, I was not able to make the banquet with Mason on this past weekend.
No, and I told you, like, because I saw you earlier in the day, I'm like, John, I might get back to Fargo before you're done bowling. And I wasn't too far off.
He was not too far off.
No. And then the other piece of our track pack report revolves around a lot of our home track, the Dacotah Speedway. It's been a lot of activity happening over the last couple of weeks. Should I give this to Becca to kind of give us the lowdown on what's going on?
She has the inside scoop, so maybe it'd be better to give it.
Yeah,
to her.
let's have Becca do that.
Yeah, yeah. So if anyone follows,
Okay, that's enough time for Becca. We'll go to somebody else now. So Jessup, would you like to give the scoop?
I will defer to Rec and Reba.
Don't know who that is, but sure. Yeah, so we've had a lot of big announcements come out of the Dacotah Speedway social media channels. The first being that we are gonna kick off our 2023 racing season with a doubleheader. Fingers crossed. I mean, there is a lot of snow as we are in the middle of March, and we're hoping to race in about 6 weeks. So, hoping to kick off a doubleheader. We're calling it the Man-Down Meltdown on April 21st and 22nd. It'll be 2 full shows over the course of 2 days, full payouts. So hoping for big car counts right away to start off our season. If we had to cancel due to weather, we would push that doubleheader back a weekend. So maybe on April 28th and 29th. But if that had to be canceled as well, we would just have a regular season opener on May 5th. So kicking off the 2023 season in a big way, fingers crossed. We still have a lot of snow to melt before then. Also, we also announced that we are in the plans to build a go-kart and RC track on the Dacotah Speedway property. That'll be on the east side of the racetrack, down in corners 1 and 2. Our go-kart class will be a mini bonsai modified. So they're going to look very similar to our IMCA modifieds on the big track. And this is intended for young kids, ages 6 and up or so. And they are very cost effective. I believe they're more affordable than a slingshot, which is another great option for the go-kart track if this does blow up into be a big thing, right? So fingers crossed we get a lot of, it sounds like we already have kids signed up for a go-kart. We've already sold some of the bonsai mini mods. So it looks like that'll be on Wednesday nights this summer, potentially this summer. So give me a great way to build the racing program here in the Bismarck-Mandan area with the youth here in town. So hoping to keep racing alive for many years to come by getting these young kids interested in go-karts at a very young age. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll be built and we'll be up and running with that go-kart track in the middle of this summer. So looking for sponsorship and whatnot for that right now. But big things coming for the future of Dacotah Speedway in that front. We also just launched a brand new website for Dacotah Speedway, dakotaspeedway.com. It's been about 10 years since Dacotah Speedway's had a website update, so it was very much needed. It's very new and modern and easier to navigate for both fans and drivers. So check that out for all the and the big thing for our website is the hobby stock rules. So if you're a hobby stock driver, you can go check that out. Get the lowdown on the rules package for the 2023 racing season. And then we also just partnered with a marketing and advertising group here in town, Fanatics, and they will be handling a lot of the things I do. So it'll be nice to have a less busy race night for me in that regards. They're going to be doing all of the advertising and marketing, so social media, press release writing, handling with the media. A lot of things that I typically do on a Friday night, they're going to be taking that over, which is really good because for many years I've always wondered what would happen if I ever stepped away from racing.
So now your duties are down to like 10?
Yeah. So
no more 15.
It's going to be a little less stress-free for me. So I look forward to seeing them come in. I think they're going to just elevate our already great racing product and just take it to a whole new level and really get more fan engagement at the races, which just to make it more memorable for the fans and maybe the drivers too. So it's going to be a lot of good things coming out of Dacotah Speedway. just in the last week or two. So you can check that out on all of their social media channels and their brand new website, dacotaspeedway.com.
Yeah, I kind of want to talk a little bit more about the go-kart track, because I think that's a really, really cool addition to the racing scene, especially on the western side of the state. I know Southwest Speedway in Dickinson has been getting some go-kart stuff going in the last year or two. But what does this kind of mean for you guys over in the Bismarck-Mandan area to kind of get an opportunity for a lot of the youngsters to get involved in the sport right away?
Well, it means it's an opportunity to revitalize the youth movement for dirt track racing in our area again. Um, you know, such with time, positions end up opening up with people coming and going, and we need to find a way to continue to fill those openings in our fields. And this is a great opportunity to provide a place for the youth to get their feet wet, get started, get some laps under them, and then when they move up, they'll be more comfortable, more confident, and hopefully they will have had a great experience at this lower level, this younger level that will be providing them, and if they enjoy it, we hopefully make lifelong racing fans and racers for the future. So that's kind of what we're hoping for. That's what we're aiming for. And hopefully this helps the Western North Dakota racing scene. It's kind of cool what we got going on. We got a kart that looks like our premier class at our track and at most of the tracks out west. And that is the Bonsai Mini Mod. It's going to look pretty much like a full-size mod, but just shrunk down. It kind of looks similar to a slingshot, but not exactly. It looks more so towards a mod, and it's pretty cost effective when comparing it to other kart classes. So that's going to be pretty nice. One great example of how it's cost effective, you basically can go to Harbor Freight and buy a motor for it. So that's pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's a really good opportunity. I mean, now that I've lived in Fargo the last couple of years, I've been kind of venturing out to the kart track over in West Fargo. And I mean, just in the last couple of years, there's been a lot of racers that have transitioned from karts, and even in previous years from karts into classes such as like legends or modified. And so great stepping stone, the opportunity for like the current racers to, you know, maybe spend a little more time out at the track, maybe helping out, whether it's volunteering or just kind of, you know, mentoring the youngsters. And so kind of, like you said, making lifelong race fans out of it too. And they kind of filter into every part of the racing community, not just racing.
Yeah, we're hoping to have the same type of success that you guys have out east. I think I saw a post where it was said that about 30 to 35 current drivers have came from the karting rinks. And yeah, we know that's not going to happen right away, but we hope that we can provide, say, in the next 3 to 5 years, we can begin the process of having those drivers slowly work their way up into the actual full-size classes, whether it be a sport compact, a hobby stock, or a legend. It's just going to be a good place for them to start, get a feel for things, get some laps underneath them, kind of get an idea of how racing should feel like and the etiquette that goes along with it. So there's all that, and we're hoping that we can, if we can get a good first couple of years, I think you'll see it hopefully flourish and take off.
Yeah, I know it's more focused on the youngsters, but I was thinking it would be beneficial for you to help you in your go-karting skills. So that way, next time we go to a slick track, you'll be able to keep up a little bit better.
Well, Mason, it wouldn't be the actual first time that I've raced a kart on a dirt track. So that's something you don't know about me. So fun times.
All righty.
So with that being said, Mason, wouldn't we think he would have done better than on that slick track? But maybe not.
Nah, I'm
It wasn't pretty.
Well, I'm purely dirt.
Let's be honest.
One of
So
those asphalt.
he needs more tack.
I do need more tack.
This makes sense. His ability to feather the throttle is not there.
Well, when you have Becca spinning out in front of you, it kind of, slows things down, and you gotta take
You could
evasive
have gone
maneuver.
around me.
I could have T-boned you at full speed too, so there's that.
Yeah, he definitely
Caution
needed a
is-
few cautions.
Caution
that
is
day.
definitely out on Jessup on that one, because blaming his driving skills on somebody else is not. Yeah, it's not the truth.
But
there's-
that's actually a good transition, because Jessup kind of likes to go all in on, or pedal to the metal on go-karts. What about video games? I put out.
Oh, he also goes all in on that too. Remember, he likes to go flying off of turns 1 and 2
Yes.
on a lot of facilities.
Yeah, so I put out a post this last week, kind of discussing some video games, and kind of wanted to, since it's the off season, we're kind of all cooped up. I'm sure a lot of people have been playing video games racing wise, or if they've been doing the iRacing simulation. Kind of wanted to reminisce a little bit and go through each of us. Like, what's one game that you kind of played as a kid, or you kind of stick to nowadays? It could be NASCAR, it could be dirt track racing, but what racing game really took most of your time as a youth? Becca, do you have one?
I do. So I actually didn't grow up playing a whole lot of video games, but when I became a diehard NASCAR fan in the early 2000s, obviously back then if you ever watch the old NASCAR telecasts, they actually would the NBC was notorious for this. They would actually do like the NASCAR EA Sports like video games as a way to show the fans at home like how to get around, Darlington or Richmond or whatever track they were at. And then so that was my first exposure to like video games and like racing video games. So of course, being a very impressionable young teenager, I wanted those games. So I actually saved up money, bought an Xbox, and my first game was the 2003 EA Sports NASCAR, like get in the game kind of stuff. So, and then after that, I got them up until about I turned 18 and graduated high school. I got at them every year. So 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then usually, I think it was around 2008 where they actually started transitioning from Xbox to like Xbox 360, and then the evolution of the Xbox, whatever. And I didn't really continue buying the games then, but I loved them. My favorite year was 2004. Jeff Gordon was on the cover that year, but they also allowed you to like move up through the ranks. So like you started out in the open wheel modifieds, and then you would build up your racing resume, and you move up through the ranks. You get to, tab to drive a truck, and then you would obviously fill out your resume some more and move up through the ranks. And it was really fun and really realistic. There's actually quite a few NASCAR interviews. Like I know Jordan Anderson, he's a truck series driver and Xfinity owner. He talks about like how actually realistic the 2004 like moving up through the ranks like that, like you have to like allocate money for sponsorships and fixing the truck and all that kind of stuff. He says it's really realistic, and I believe it because it was. So those are my experience in racing games. I never did get into iRacing as an adult. Never did really dabble in any others. I had an IndyCar game for the Xbox, but it was really, really hard, so I didn't really like it. And I wasn't into IndyCar like I was into NASCAR, so I really didn't have like a huge passion for that. So kind of stuck with the NASCAR EA Sports games, and I loved them. So
those are some classics. Those are some real good classics. John, what was your favorites?
Yeah, so I'll go 2 routes here because I had some dirt track racing ones, but I also had a lot of NASCAR ones too. So I was like Becca. I think I got my first one. I think it was 2003 as well from the NASCAR side, because I had a PS2, PlayStation 2 is what I started on. So I had a lot of those, and I used to. My first one was during Christmas. I remember it as plain as day. Got it during Christmas. Set it up that day, and I think I raced all day, like pretty much all day on that one too. I started on Talladega because I was like, I wonder how drafting is. So I use that one quite a bit. My favorite one though is actually the same year as Becca. I liked 2004. 2004 was a really good one. I also liked the 2006 one with I think it was called the Total Team Control.
Yep.
NASCAR 2006. That one was a really good one. Because you could actually switch back and forth. That was kind of cool. That one I really like too. Now a lot of you know, or maybe I shouldn't say a lot of you know, the group here knows. So back when Mitch and Charlie and their family was here still in Bismarck, Mitch and I were super good friends from a bowling perspective, but also from a racetrack perspective. So in the winter months, when it was colder, we would actually spend like Friday night or Saturday night at each other's house, and then we would do racing back and forth with NASCAR. So we played a lot of I think it was NASCAR 2011 and 2012. We did a lot of those two games. So yeah, so that was a lot of fun too. And we really liked Homestead. Homestead was a lot of fun back there because it was super realistic actually on those games. So that was one of them too. Now from a dirt track perspective, the sprint car game, the World of Outlaws one back from 2002, I still think that was probably one of the best games period that have ever been built and ever been kind of constructed. So I've played that one many times. I've done multiple seasons on that. Have started my own team with a career on that one too. So that was a really cool one. And by far my favorite track I think on that game is I really like running Huset's. I think is a lot of fun. And that one, I-55 is a lot of fun too, just because you are so close to the wall on that track, and if you hit that back stretch opening, yeah, there's going to be carnage all over the place. So that one's a lot of fun too. But no, those are my two like favorites. I think the 2004 NASCAR one was really cool, and so was the 2002 sprint car one. And honestly, if I do play, because I don't play very much anymore, but I might play here or there on a weekend if I have free. I will actually probably log into one of those two and get back into it, because on the NASCAR side for 2004, Rockingham was really cool back then. That track was super realistic as well.
Yeah, those are some really good games. And I know I played against you in the Road of Outlaws 2002 game. We put on some pretty good races.
Oh, it was funny because well, let's tell a little story before we let Jessup go here. So we were down at the Pelke's house. We set up the PS2. We had the games with Mason was over that night as well. And Jessup and I first started. Let's just say Jessup did not keep it straight at all. He was all over the place. Spun out multiple times and also wrecked multiple times into the wall. So then it was time for me and Mason to race, which that was a really good battle, because we would go high, low. We would switch it up every single turn. I think Mason would go high and I'd go back down to the bottom, and then the next turn he would go low and I'd go back up to the top. So, and Mason, I don't think we ever touched. I'm pretty sure we were clean that whole race. So Jessup could definitely learn a thing or two from each of us.
Probably, I would say yes, considering that was my first time playing that game. So, yes.
Well, what games did you play growing up?
Well,
Yeah, what games were you good at, Jessup?
That's probably two different answers.
Well, John, if you really want to know, let's see.
It's racing related, Jessup, too. Not anything else. Racing related.
Racing related. Oof.
Mario Kart.
Not as good at no. I'm trash at Mario Kart. Trash.
I love Mario Kart.
Trash. I would say I wasn't terrible. One game I'll start with this. The original dirt track racing from Rat Bag is a classic. And
really good.
Yeah, and looking back, it was so far advanced. Like you could adjust toe into a camber, tire pressures, this weight distribution within the car, and like at my age, being at a young age when that came out, I was like, I don't know what any of this means. I just want to go fast. So that was kind of cool, being able to tinker with that. And then I wasn't terrible at that. I realized at a young age I was better at short tracks, especially when I was able to use the eight wheels are better than four wheels method.
Of course.
But then when you start putting on realistic damage, then that eventually took that method away. So I got better at short tracks than longer tracks with that.
With the damage not on.
No damage on. I wasn't bad.
Oh, you got
either.
better with the damage on. Okay, we're proud.
Yeah. If it had an outside wall, I was doomed. I'm sorry. It's just the truth. Then I was Dirt Track Racing 2. And then what was it? Saturday Night Lights.
Oh,
Saturday Night
Speedway,
Lights
yep.
was one of them. Yep.
Yep. I'm actually not terrible at that. Bloomington, I'm pretty decent at. I like Bloomington.
Oh, that was a good track back in the day too.
Yeah. That track was fun. Outside of that, NASCAR games never really turned my motor over too well. Whichever one was the one where you could tell if you've upset them or not by the little
The
logo
villain.
and
The little
villain.
like villain thing on top.
You
Thunder
either a
Yeah,
hero or
so-
a villain.
2004
No,
or 2005 both
Yeah,
had those.
but in game, it was
Yep.
like it was green if they were your friends, and then it was red if you
Yep.
upset them. I don't know if there was ever a green one on the track. But I
Did
do
you
know.
pick anyone with teammates? Because they were green no matter what for you.
No.
Well, but hey, he ran into his teammates too, probably. Remember
I-
the philosophy: 8 wheels are better than 4.
Hey, you got to go for the gold.
One of my favorite things to do on those NASCAR games was to like go race Martinsville, and if you could like wreck the second place guy, so that the rest of the field had nowhere to go, and then you could just like, like drive around, and then there was always
make, like, a
caution, but
whole-
yeah, it was
Almost
always
like a whole lap before anybody else. Yeah.
Wow.
I will say I raced Bristol clean once, and I had it
Well, I
at like
loved Bristol.
I put it on 50% race length, and it was realistic damage, and I actually had a pretty good race going. I think it was like 75% difficulty or whatever, and I was pretty stoked, and I was getting to the point where I lapped just about the entire field, and it gets to the last. I think it was because I didn't take any. I forwent a pit stop, and I was like, I think I can make it. Yeah, I ran out of gas, like not even coming out of corner 4. I was about maybe 20 yards from the finish line. And that's how it ended. And that's how I stopped racing NASCAR races.
Oh wow. That's too funny. Yeah, those are I never got to play the dirt track racing because I was on PC, right?
I will say
That was on PC.
and
Yep.
maybe John remembers this. I thought the packaging for it was so cool. The overall presentation for
It was really nice.
for a Gen 1 style game. When I say Gen 1, I just basically mean the very first
early.
ever
Yep.
early game. To break it down, let's just break down the cool aspects of this, Mason, so you can kind of appreciate it.
Yep.
You'd get a box. Remember what the old computer game boxes were? They'd be like maybe 2-3 inches thickness by a full piece of paper wide. And on this box, it had like a flip open cover. And when you open the cover, like it was like saying looking out of a car.
Oh,
It was one of the neatest little promotional things. Then when you felt the box, just even the feel, it was like texturized, or like there was like specks of dirt on it, and kind of like a diamond pattern for like
It was
diamond steel.
green.
Yeah, it was grainy,
Like a grain.
but it was glossed at the same time as well. So that
Wow.
it was really a top-notch product.
They did a really good job on the detail portion. The detail was super good for that game, especially with like just like how early on it was. And honestly, I think it's even better than some of the detail that they have in now obviously they're really advanced, but they did a lot of detail there for a while, and then I feel like the games kind of took a dip, and I think they're coming back. I think iRacing has done a lot with that to get those games back up to where they should be, because I feel like whether it was dirt track or whether it was NASCAR, like the NASCAR games, as you continue going into years, I didn't care for some of them because I felt like they became maybe like too computerized a little bit. they weren't. It wasn't like real. I mean, and obviously there was stuff that was glitches in them, but there was too much to where you could go through and kind of. I won't say that there was like system glitches, but it just wasn't. It wasn't as accurate as what maybe it should have been. But that dirt track one for PC, I remember that one because I have that one too. I mean, I like the options too, to where you could run a street stock, you could run a modified, you could run a late model. There was even sprints.
No, the
There was
first
sprints was
year.
on there too. This is number 2.
Yep.
So
okay.
yep. So 2 you could go through and do all that stuff on, and that one was really cool too because you could do multi views. So you could go in the car like NASCAR games, or you could go outside of the car. And then it was neat too at these tracks because they got it to where you would go in the daytime for like a heat race, and then by the time you got to the feature time, it was dark. So that was kind of cool too, to where
Yep.
you could even go through that, which was advanced for what they were, because they were developed back early 2000s to late 90s. So that was really advanced for back then.
Yep.
Yeah.
I also enjoyed the water truck video.
Yes.
It-
I mean, Mason was not there though, so the water truck did not tip over.
yeah.
Just had to get that dig in there.
Yeah, we did.
I never got a chance to play that game. That'd be one to kind of check out or find an opportunity to check that game out and give it a whirl. Yeah, the games I played for the most part, I'll kind of go on the NASCAR end first. I'm sure a couple of you played this. Dirt to Daytona was definitely my go-to. That was I think it came out late 2002, early 2003, and it featured multiple series. So you actually could race dirt tracks with a stock car, and then modify asphalt modifies, trucks, and then the Cup series. And I think the reason I really like that because one, you could get a full field worth of cars in the Cup series, which was like 43 at that time. Very realistic. I mean, that was probably one of the more realistic ones I played growing up, especially when you got like all the unlockable levels and you got the hardcore physics. Man, it was just super realistic. So spent a lot of hours on that. Kind of liked doing the challenges too. Like some of my favorite were like the crash avoidance ones. I don't know why, but
I forgot about those. Yes, those were fun.
You're doing
can
it
you
all
recreate this
wrong.
or get through?
You have to plow through.
Well, you wouldn't win the challenge then.
You would
Doesn't
get,
matter.
They
you
You
were
have
have
to
to
based
do
off
it.
do
real
the
life.
challenge.
Like
This is why Jessup never completed any of those challenges.
Yeah.
They were
Actually, you
based
know
off
what?
real
That actually
life.
came in handy today because I about got involved in a crash, and my experience in video games helped me avoid a crash. You had like, I was on the interstate here in Fargo, and we had one guy that was basically acting like Joey Logano, trying to merge and clear himself in front of traffic, nearly wrecks a guy in front of me. So I slam on the brakes, and meanwhile, we have Stephen Wallace coming behind me, trying to bonsai himself into a wreck that's starting to happen, and barely misses my back end. And here I am just holding my line, just letting the carnage happen all around me. Thankfully, no one got hit. And as the cars just went past, I'm just like, look at this. Just me being calm, just holding my line. See, video games help you.
Mason, that could be like, it could be like Denny Hamlin saying, it's just short track racing.
Yeah. That's short track racing. Yeah. It's one of my favorite lines. Yeah, I played a lot of the 2002 World of Outlaws game too. That was I spent a lot of times on that because I really liked the career mode, especially starting off in like the lower level sprint car series and then kind of building up your resume, getting some money. I remember my first big win was like a $50,000 race at Silver Dollar. I somehow won that, and that just springboarded the rest of my career. So that's a really good put together game too, and definitely one I still like to play. Obviously I got the new World of Outlaws game that just came out last fall. I've been playing a lot of that lately and been doing the career mode on that. I think that's a really good setup game. What I want to do, maybe this time next year, because I know Jessup plays that. I don't know if John or Becca have played it.
I don't have that one yet.
I
have not
played it
I have
in
not
a long
received that.
time.
Yeah, it's been a few weeks since I played it, but I would love to do like a kind of like a video game review on that game. I think that would be kind of cool to do as a podcast, kind of give a big breakdown in details on like that game, because they do have a lot of good stuff. I mean, I like the mix of real tracks and then like the fantasy tracks, although some of them frustrate me because it's like, you want to see the shape of a dirt track. Some of them are like triangle shaped almost, and I'm like, why? Just why?
Oh, I don't understand some of the tracks. I mean, if you look at a lot of the games, some of the tracks are just trash. Like, there's one on the, I don't know if it's a real track, but I am trash at it. And I know it was with the All Stars sprint car game for, it's like a rectangle. There's no, they're like, there's a very, it's like 90-degree corners.
I
And
was.
then
Oh, go ahead.
I watch these, like, I try to mimic during like the practice or hot lap portions. I try to mimic like the faster drivers on the game, and I'm like, okay, if I come in this angle and you see them just perfectly go around, and then you have me trying to do the exact same thing, and I'm like, oh no, I cut it too soon, and then I smoke the wall and I go flying in. I'm like, ah, and then I die, and then I go refresh and I do the same thing that I saw, and then I'm like, okay, I'm not going to cut it too soon, and then it's basically, and you're outside of the groove, and you get passed by everybody. I'm like, interesting. Okay, so then I try to split the difference, and then it's like, oh, you hit it just right, but we're going to let half the people pass you anyways because you didn't keep up your pace. And I'm like, but how am I supposed to keep up pace in a 90-degree turn?
I thought about that. I don't know if you've raced Weed Sport. Is it? Yeah, I think it's Weed Sport Speedway.
Which one's that? Is that the one with the yellow walls?
I don't remember what the walls are, but it's like a square. It like the corners are like square shaped almost, and it's really weird. I mean, big block mods typically race there. It's a real track in New York, and boy, it's weird. Like there's some weird tracks, and then you have there's like a couple 3/4 mile fantasy tracks on the new game, and I'm like, I mean, I've been doing career mode, like starting off in the street stock and doing a race on a 3/4 mile dirt track. Oof.
Yeah, I know with the All-Star games, they got I think it's Miller or whatever it's called. Yeah, it's like a mile-long track, and all it is hold the button down, gently tap the turn joystick to the left, and you've overdone it, and now everyone's passed you. Great.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of good to reminisce on some of the video games. Feel free to, we've already had a few people list some of their favorites last week, but feel free to list some of your favorites and kind of what you like or maybe even dislike about it, because it's fun to, especially this time of year, kind of fun to reminisce and kind of go back to your childhood a little bit. The other thing coming up, St. Patrick's Day is coming up on the 17th, obviously, of March. We're recording this just a week before that, but we're going to talk about some drivers that could use some luck in 2023. Could vary from season to season. Some drivers have some good luck one season, and the next it's like can't buy a lick of luck. So who needs some luck in 2023? Who's got a couple drivers that could use four-leaf clover of some sort?
My drivers
I have
all had,
one. Go ahead. No, Becca, you go first.
I was gonna say my drivers have all had like years of bad luck and could just use a good year. So my first driver, I have 3. So my first driver is Dacotah Speedway local Don Hayes. He had a terrible rollover in 2021, got a brand new car for last season in 2022, and rolled that car in corners 1 and 2. I think that was in June. Got the car put back together, and literally like 6 weeks later, in the exact same spot in corners 1 and 2, rolled it again. Thankfully, he was okay in all 3 of those rollovers. Those legend cars did their part, and he has a brand new car. Actually, I think he bought this car from I think this is with the car he raced in 2020. He bought it back from the person he sold it to, and so he'll be racing that car this year. So hopefully, all 4 wheels will stay on the track this year for him, and he'll get some good finishes out of that car.
There
I
you
had
go.
2 more if you want me to go through the list.
Let's just do one by one. John, go ahead
Alright.
with your one.
Sounds good.
So I'm gonna stick legend route as well. On here, mine is Gus Jensen, who last year was super close to either picking up a feature win or finishing top 5 in multiple features, and would either have a parts failure, would have a hard crash, or something else would happen directly to him. So Gus is my hard luck award that could use some luck here for the 2023 season.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, he's knocking on the door of his first feature win. He's really stepped up his game last year. Jessup, do you have one? Or you need a little more time to think?
I'm just trying to think if this actually took place this year or the last year. But I'd say Marcus Tomlinson. He had a rough year with parts breaking on him throughout the year. And, we need a little good luck to keep the parts under him. And if he does that, I think he'll have a pretty solid year. Not saying that he didn't have a good year last year. I just think it was a struggle at one point and then it got better at the end. So,
Yeah, I would say, especially down in Mandan, he had a lot of trouble down in Mandan, especially. Thankfully, his good luck was at one track at Dacotah Speedway, so he got the track championship there. But yeah, everywhere else he kind of, had the bad luck bug. I would agree with that. My first driver actually kind of probably someone that we don't think has bad luck, but the more I think about it, Dustin Strand has some really tough luck. A couple years ago, he barreled his A mod. And late model, it seems like he gets on this roller coaster ride where we'll have a weekend where we'll have a couple wins. And then the next weekend is just either a wreck or just mechanical troubles, engine failures. I know the sights is kind of on his list to try to get a good run there, and just nothing seems to go right there. So I think Dustin Strand could use a little luck going into 2023 this year too. Becca, who's your next?
So my next driver is Andrew Jokum. He is a IMCA stock car driver from the Fargo area. He's had a couple of years of just rotten luck. I think it was in 2021 he totaled his stock car at Red River Valley Speedway about halfway through the season, end of July, early August, and he was done for that season. And then last year he decided to go on the Dacotah Classic Modified Tour and wrecked early on the tour, tried to get the car back together. He was able to at the end of the tour, but after that, the car just wasn't quite the same. And so he just had a up and down season after that Dacotah Classic Modified Tour. So hopefully he can, for 2023, get the car ready and just have a good season from start to finish.
Yep, it's another good one. John, do you have another one?
I'll let you guys keep going. I've got a couple, but I'll save them.
Okay. I think the next one I'd say is Lane Schweer. I believe he's moving into a different car class. I'm sure people probably know what it is, but I'll kind of leave that for him to reveal that in due time. But he had some pretty good runs in the Midwest Mod last year, and usually bad luck would find him, usually a wreck of some sort. He barrel rolled his car in Ada, and that kind of basically ended his year, unfortunately. And so he's got a fresh start, hopefully for 2023, and it's going to be exciting to see what he does this year. So hoping for some good luck for Lane this year. Jessup?
Oh, I'm going to have John take all of mine because I'm blanking at 12:30 at night here.
Oh, he's hitting the wall.
I'm an early bed person. And an early rise.
He
I'm
is
an
the
early
oldest one
rise.
of our group.
I can't hang anymore.
Yeah, he's becoming senior citizen age already.
Go ahead, John.
So somewhere within that area. So okay, so another one of mine who has just had some rotten luck the last couple of years, just from everything going on. I like actually yours from Lane perspective. I think, Mason, because he's one driver that just has had rotten luck with anything that has come across. But okay, so back to mine. So one of the drivers that I think would be a good one, kind of in our Wissota Street Stock division, a little bit. I'm going to look at that one. here has actually been, and he had a pretty decent year this past year, but I feel like Mad Dosh is one driver that has had a super strong couple of years, like maybe to start off years, but has always had bad luck, it seems like, or just something happened over the summer months that has put him behind of either, winning a feature event that year, battling for the points championship that year, or something has happened to where it just, it's just been super weird from his perspective. The other driver, I'll do my other one here too. Actually, you know what? I'm going to save it because Becca, I'm going to let you go first because I know you got another one.
And I'm going to put Becca on hold, and I'm going to say mine, Kelly Horner.
Oh, that's a good one.
Ever a person who has had just a string of bad luck, the last couple of years, Kelly's been hit with bad luck bug, and I think this year, that bad luck goes away as he's going to get the good luck bug this year. So I hope Kelly has a good year. I hope he has less mechanical gremlins and wreck gremlins. I think this year is going to be a good year for him.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one. We'll do one more each. Becca, go ahead and start to finish it out.
Oh gosh, I think this driver probably has by far had some of the craziest bad luck. And that is Wissota late model driver Dylan Barnhart. Like, this is the guy that like takes a weekend off just to go on like a little racecation, and half the tracks rain out because he like literally pulled into the track. And if he does make it to the track, he's usually like wrecked in like hot laps or a part broken hot lap, so he's out the rest of the night, or the rig breaks down on the way to the next track. Like, this guy has literally the worst luck. And if he can make it through hot laps and maybe a heat race, he's usually a DNF in the feature. Like, my heart breaks for him because the guy loves racing so much, loves the late model class, just has the worst luck between parts breaking, being caught up in someone else's wrecking himself, the truck breaks down, just the worst luck. So hopefully he can put some races together, take some time off from work, and go racing and have some good luck out on the track.
Another solid one. I'll give you my third one. I have like a bunch of drivers on here, but kind of an underrated one that I don't think many people knew about last year, but Austin Scheibe out of central Minnesota. When I talked to him at the beginning of last year, he was actually going to make a run at Wissota National Points. And unfortunately, that was cut short when he wrecked in Montevideo in June, I believe. And so I don't know what his plans are for 2023, but no one could really keep up with Jake Smith once he started getting on a tear, and especially with Scheibe being kind of in the same area as Jake, I think they would have really gone toe-to-toe for several wins if he wasn't knocked out for about a month at least. And so could use some good luck if he's going to try to make a run at national points again in 2023 in the Midwest mods. So I'll say Austin Scheibe for my third one.
Go ahead, John.
Okay, so another driver that actually kind of had a lot of highlights to last season, but also still had some bad luck. And the year before, he just has had terrible luck. Even the year before that, he had bad luck too. And Mason's pretty good friends with this driver as well. It's Lindsey Hansen. I know Lindsey potentially might be changing classes this year as well, but Lindsey has just he's had a lot of highlights here this past season, but he also had a lot of bad luck on his stuff. So I feel like he is definitely due to have a true breakout season, and basically come through and just have some luck go his way. Even more than what he had to, kind of this past year, especially down, 2 years ago at the 100, where he just destroyed his car when he was making a run at a transfer spot. So he's definitely in the need for having just a good, calm season.
Mm-hmm. Jessup, do you have one more?
I guess I could go with the North Dakota native. I want to see better luck for Mr. Donnie Schatz. I think he's been plagued the last 3 years. Well, really closer to 4 years, ever since they got started with that stupid Ford motor. But when they give you a lot of money and tell you you need to run a Ford, I guess you got to run a Ford. With that being said, he's already had one motor go down in Volusia, which that kind of starts the year off with an ominous start. But I truly believe after his last Knoxville win, I think he really can turn it around, and I think he can be back to consistent Donnie. And if he can stay in the top 5 every race like he used to, or at least average somewhere around the top 6 every race, I think you'll see him in the top 3 points in the World of Outlaw points again. I don't know if he'll win it outright, but I think he's got a good chance of being competitive at the end, because I don't see a lot of other drivers carrying over consistency, and I think the horseshoe's about to fall out of Brad Sweet's backside.
I was gonna say Sweet's off to a slower start, and I think Gravel's really trying to make his presence known.
Well, Gravel will do this at the end of the year, and Hodenshield will wreck his way out of contention. So really, you got Macedo, and I would say, let's see, Macedo, maybe Schuhart, but he struggled at the beginning of the year as well. So it's Donnie's year.
Well,
Say it was
and
a
don't
close-
forget about Gravel though, because Gravel's
I already
going
said.
super hot. Okay.
I already said he's gonna choke her away. That's what he does.
John, you gotta watch all of Jessup's little
He's gonna do this.
The
He's gonna-
mannerisms.
He's gonna
Yes.
turn bluer than my hat.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It was a close points battle last year, so hopefully that goes down to the wire. See, that's a full point system going all the way through the year. Just taking notes for some of those series.
I mean, it's an actual true championship.
Yeah.
I don't know. We could have a true champion at the end of the Lucas season.
Oh, I forgot about that one too.
Well.
You had to remind me of that one. Oh gosh. Before I get riled up on this, couple the schedule releases that have taken place over the last couple weeks. Buffalo River has released their 2023 schedule. They have a lot of different classes coming in throughout the season, and so head over to their Facebook, check out their full schedule. The Moonshine Mod Tour schedule in full has been released. It's 3 weekends with 11 total races. I don't believe the Advantage RV Mod Tour is not taking place this year. Not exactly sure why, but Moonshine Mod Tour is released for this year. Kind of interesting to see a couple racetracks picking up IMCA Racesaver sprint cars for a race or two throughout the more on the eastern side of the state. But I think it's interesting to see kind of a newer class in the area kind of getting a little bit of traction. And supposedly there's a couple new drivers coming in or stepping into that class. And so it should be interesting to see. I mean, have you guys seen any of the Racesaver sprint cars yet?
Yes.
not
Yes,
yet.
I have.
Okay.
They're
good.
I've seen them out in Pennsylvania,
Okay.
and I think I saw them somewhere else too. They're not bad. They're very. Let's put it this way: they're quicker than modifieds. They look very similar to 410 winged sprint cars, just like any sprint car looks similar to another class. So it's a cool addition to those tracks on those nights. And the Racesavers are a pretty competitive group. So overall, it will be a good thing for the local area.
Yep, and seeing them, I saw them at Ada and Red River Valley, and like you said, yeah, they're faster than the mods, and it's kind of crazy. Like I always think like 410s and 305s. Obviously, there's a big difference in potential speed, but 305s get clicking pretty good. Like even on a dry slick track, they accelerate down those straightaways pretty good. So they're good. They're a fun watch. Any other rumors that any people have heard coming into this season? I know there's a couple go-kart racers that are jumping in NX Legends over on my side of the state. Rob Van Mill's kid Kyle is jumping from the go-karts into a legend, so that'll be cool to see, along with Mason Lamar. And then one that I saw that is going into the Western Renegades, who is actually making a return to racing after several years, is Nick Schierick. And for those of you that may recognize that name, he raced a NOSA 410 sprint car several years back. And he's got a page, Double Down Motorsports, I believe it's what it's called. He's actually documenting his entire build process, which I think is actually really interesting to see all the details and what all goes into preparing a race car for a season worth of racing. So I recommend checking that page out. I think that's really cool to see him back behind the wheel. Kind of the other rumor I was thinking about, John, you and I were at the Wissota 100, and we saw Brock Gronwald in a Wissota modified. And I wonder, does he still have his Midwest mod? Do you know, or is he going to transition back into Wissota mod? Because he's done that before.
I can't tell you, because I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he's going to plan on doing both or if he's just going to go with Wissota mod. So I couldn't tell you at this time.
Because I thought that was really interesting. Was he? I don't know if he was he racing his Midwest mod that week?
Yeah, he ran the Midwest mod that week. He made the show.
Okay, I couldn't remember. I just remember that Wissota mod. I was like, huh, interesting.
Yeah, he made the show the final night of qualifying. It was on the third night that he made the show.
Okay.
Actually, he was battling up front for first, second for a while. I think he ended up fifth though that night. I think it was fifth overall.
Yeah, so just a couple of interesting tidbits on new drivers come in, and obviously they're going to all come in like a wave come probably end of April at the rate we're going. Everyone's going to just release all their schemes and all that.
So now that most tracks have their schedule released on my race pass, this is a nice little reminder for drivers to go and register for those racetracks, especially if they have changes in regards to maybe they changed car classes, they're new to racing, all that good stuff. Because it's fun for people like John and myself who are admins on certain racetracks. We get to see those new drivers pop through. And yeah.
John, Becca, she blocked my admin rights to our racetrack. I cannot see.
She did?
Yes,
she's
not. Very selfish.
I did
It's
not.
okay.
I'm hurt, John.
Becca, I'm actually happy you went this route because it limits down on our loose cannons that we have as part of the admin access pool.
Just because of that, I'm going to be even more of a cannon that's on the loose. This train will never stay on the rails ever again.
If you think about it, Becca, I know we had to have him do check-in one night, and
it went through.
Was a struggle.
It was not.
Was just a struggle.
Oh my God! At least I wasn't.
That night we didn't start until almost 8:30.
I remember that night.
Oh, it was bad.
I'm just kidding. No, that didn't happen. But
you guys are so full of it.
So if there are new drivers who have changed, new to racing, or if there are drivers who have switched car classes, be sure to start registering for the tracks that you frequent on my race pass. But it's also fun because I get to see all the new drivers pop up, registrations pop up on the back end. And I did see that Tyler Weeks registered at Dacotah Speedway in an IMCA modified. So that was pretty interesting. So again, this goes back to our CNC episode that we just filmed before this TPP about modifieds, all modifieds in North Dakota, and how the IMCA Sport Mods and Wissota Midwest Modifieds are a great stepping stone into the next level of modifieds, which are IMCA Modifieds and Wissota Mods. So really cool this how our CNC has kind of tied into this, because Tyler Weeks, who's been an IMCA Sport Mod driver for many years, potentially might be a IMCA Modified driver this year.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see that too. Plus, to build on what Becca said too, I know on a lot of social media channels or even on websites for the tracks, they have links on there if you are a Wissota class, if you're an IMCA class, if you're an NX class for licenses. Drivers, let's do that now if you can. Purchase a license ahead of time. It saves you a bunch of time at the racetrack when that first night when you're going through and you have to fill out all your forms, or you have to go through and register as well for that first night. It saves a bunch of time with the license stuff, and it makes it a lot easier actually on the tracks because you can't actually do the paper license anymore at the tracks. It's all electronic. So it definitely saves time there too if you do that ahead of time to get those on there, and then you won't have people like Becca or me when you're checking in saying like, oh, did you purchase your license yet? Do you need to purchase your license or anything from there? I'm definitely not as scary as Becca when it comes to that, because she will yell at you, and
she will
she'll belittle you even as well. So so we just so just make sure that that you get those all on there. And our most important thing on here that we cannot forget is that since most of the schedules have been released, you know, you have to go now to dacotahdirt.org, because it is your one-stop shop for everything North Dakota racing news, results, and much more. Check them out again, dacotahdirt.org. They have schedules on there. They have other information that's coming up here as the season gets ready to rock and roll. So again, Dacotah Dirt, go through and get that checked out. And they're also on social media platforms.
Thank you, John. We did update our schedule, or summer-long schedule, that the state of North Dakota and Estevan will be racing this year. We're still missing on 3 tracks right now. I believe it's Wishick and the 2 eastern tracks of Red River and River Cities.
I have Wishick on my calendar,
say-
so I can send you a link to Wishick's schedule.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Was it maybe Botno?
No, I got Botnos. Botnos
Okay.
is on there.
Okay.
But I do need the Wishick one. For some reason, I
Wishick
can't
announced
find it.
theirs.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
well.
So we'll get you yours.
Yeah.
I don't know if Devil's Lake has announced theirs.
No, theirs is announced.
Oh, I may have to add that one to my calendar then.
Why don't you just go to Dacotah Dirt?
I mean,
Jason?
Dacotah Dirt, your one-stop
your
shop for
one-stop
everything.
For everything. Speaking of everything, we added on. We did some kind of tweaking to our podcast page. I mean, we've added a few podcasts. We took off some that haven't podcasted in at least a year. So that's kind of an exciting thing. We've switched it up just a smidge. I know there's some that are missing. If you guys see any that are missing, feel free to leave a message on our page or shoot a message to Dacotah Dirt's Facebook page. We got 2 real sections to it. The national media side podcast, that's kind of the bigger ones, kind of like the Dirt Tracker Daily and the Rib Racks and Dirt Tracks, along with Open Red and those kind of type of things. I think Wing Nation's connected on there as well. And then we have the local scene, which is basically what is strewn about the Wissota area for the most part, and that's kind of fun as well. So plenty of options if you're bored at work to get your podcast on and double check your summer schedules and all that good stuff. Probably need to do some updating on driver pages and driver Facebook pages as well, but we'll get to that once the master's degree is officially put to rest.
There you go. Yeah, so Dacotah Dirt's been busy the last couple weeks. I think for our last thing, we have a Wins of the Week segment, but I think just one takes the cake for this episode. Want to highlight Casey Usadis, who is putting together a cool little thing this summer at the racetrack. He recently acquired, and he's also owns a bunch of Hot Wheels. And he has this track that he's going to be bringing to the races as often as he can, obviously. And he's going to challenge any kids that come by to race him on this track with those Hot Wheels. And if they beat Casey, they get a Hot Wheel from the USAS racing team. So kudos to you, Casey, on such a cool idea. He actually got gifted, I think it was 100 Hot Wheels at the Jamestown
50.
Banquet. So that was or 50, sorry.
50 of them. Yep.
Yep. So that's pretty cool.
You think we can get some cheated up Hot Wheels so we can spank all the kids?
I think Casey will probably put a handicap on you if you decide to race them.
Well, let's be honest here. Jessup's going to need them to beat people because we've seen his racing skills.
My car would probably spin out.
I'll say it'll probably fall off right
would.
away.
Or it would just go right into the wall.
But yeah, that's a really cool idea, Casey. I think that's gonna be awesome. Hope to see a lot of kids stop by your pits after the races and hopefully get some video of that. That'll be some cool racing action to catch after the races. So I think that'll do it for episode 5 of season 2. Again, be sure to give us a like share, comment with your friends. Be sure to let everyone know about the Track Packer podcast. We're going to be going into a more regular schedule here as it gets a little bit closer over the next few weeks. And so we're excited to see racing. Thank you once again to Tyler Hall and Hitch Harness for sponsoring this podcast. Go check out the CNCs on Mason Aaron Racing videos on Patreon. And as always, go out there and pack the track.